David came from a political generation along before my own, and he grew up in politically in troubled times in Northern Ireland. We had serious troubles and sectarian divide when he took over as the party leader in 1995. And when he took over as the party leader in 95, he was quite hardline in many ways. But one thing that David always knew is that nothing stops you making a decision and changing your decisions. And he understood that peace was the real prize here in Northern Ireland. And that's why in 1998, along with John Hume, and I say this often, as you can't mention David Trimble's name without mentioning John Hume, and the same way you can't mention John Hume's name without mentioning David Trimble, but together with others, they worked to get peace. And in 1998, they brokered the Belfast Good Friday Agreement, which has given us the uneasy peace that we have now. But it has given us a pathway. It has given us a future. So when you look back at David's legacy, it's very easy to define, and everybody talks about defining what your legacy is. But David's legacy is very easy to define, because he put country before himself and his party. And he did so knowing that the knives would come out against him, and they did come out against him. But he stayed true and steadfast in what he was trying to achieve. And our party has suffered because of it, and he suffered because of it. But what is the price of peace? What is the price of a life? And there are people alive today who would not be alive because of the decisions that he made in 1998. A courageous man and a visionary who stuck to his guns through awful turmoil before the Belfast Good Friday Agreement and afterwards.
I mean, really touching words there. I want to ask you as well about, in the latter years, he still stayed very politically engaged. My understanding is he was joining a group of people, a co-signatory on a legal case against the Northern Ireland Protocol. He was always committed, wasn't he, to making sure that that agreement that he wrote was honoured, and he was very concerned that it wasn't being.
Yeah, absolutely. And no matter which way you look at it, anything that undermines or damages the Belfast Good Friday Agreement is something that he would be against. And he was concerned at some of the things that were coming forward, some of them in regards to the protocol, and some others. The changes to the Belfast Agreement, for example, at St Andrews, were not positive changes. All of these things undermined in small parts the Belfast Good Friday Agreement. So he was steadfast in standing up for it, and he stayed politically active. Even during our Assembly election in March of this year, he came out and he canvassed with me. And he was very frail even then, but he knocked on about 50 doors and spoke to everybody who came out. And you could see that the fire was still in his eyes. He was surrounded by young unionists, and he really was fighting for peace. He was fighting for unionism, and he was fighting to make Northern Ireland work for absolutely everybody. He was committed and stayed committed right to the very end to try and end all forms of division, sectarianism and violence here in Northern Ireland.